Hi people, it's me. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about all the books that I most recently read. In February, I read a total of like 18 books, which for me was really bad. And I hope that when I do my 2020 reading wrap up in the beginning of 2021, I hope that I can say February will be the month where I read the least amount of books. However, in March, it's off to a good start. I've read a total of 7 books so far, so that's great. So, these books, I read the first few of them at the end of February, and then the last 7 at the beginning of March. So the first book on this list is From the Desk of Zoe Washington, written by Janae Marks, or Janae Marks? I don't know how to say it. Anyway, it's juvenile fiction contemporary, and it's about a young girl who's writing to her father, who's in jail, and she doesn't know him at all because she's never like communicated with him before. And it talks about like having an absent family member in jail and how he's there for murder. And it talks about like systematic racism as well. Zoe's black. And I personally thought that the portrayal of all of these very serious topics were kind of like not swept under the rug, but I thought the way that they were portrayed was really unrealistic. So I ended up rating this book 2 stars because I just didn't think that it was very realistic. You know, I just felt like the ending kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So that's why I gave it 2 stars. The next book that I read is called Heart of Flames, written by Nikki Powell Petro. For those who don't know, this is the sequel to Crown of Feathers, which I read last year and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Heart of Flames was a great runner-up sequel. The characters that were introduced in Crown of Feathers were well developed, the plot was fast-paced, action-packed, the romance was like angsty but also fluffy at the same time, which is like my type of romance, because I think it's unrealistic if you have a romance that's just fluffy, and I feel like it's too much and overwhelming if you have a romance that's just angsty. So it was a nice balance of the two. And it was just really, really good, and I'm like genuinely so excited for the 3rd book. I don't know what it's called, or even if there's a release date or a cover or a title yet, but like I'm so excited for it. So I rated Heart of Flames 4 stars, just like I did the previous one. The next book that I most recently read is called Winterwood, written by Shia Erdshaw. This is a magical realism YA book about a girl who's rumored to be a witch, and she's determined to unravel the secrets of a boy who emerges from this like pond. That's not really important, but he is rumored to be missing, so something odd is clearly going on. I rated this book 3.5 stars because the plot was very intriguing, and for once it was kind of like unpredictable. Like I couldn't predict what was happening. The plot twists were genuinely surprising to me. Like sometimes when I read magical realistic books, they're predictable, which is why I usually don't like them. But this one was solid and it was really good, and I rated it 3.5 stars because it was a nice, surprising read, and I would recommend it. So yeah. The next book that I read is called A Good Girl's Guide to Myrtle, written by Holly Jackson. This is about a young girl named Pippa who's trying to solve the town's murder. So in her town there was this murder 5 years ago of Andy Bell, and everybody thinks that Andy's boyfriend Sal did it, and then Sal committed suicide a few days after Andy was declared dead. So the case is closed, or at least according to the town it is. However, Pip doesn't think that Sal, the boyfriend, did it, so she's trying to solve the mystery because she's determined to prove that Sal is innocent. I didn't really like this book because I don't normally read murder mysteries because they tend to be all the same for me. And A Good Girl's Guide to Myrtle fell into that same vein. I don't regret reading this book even though I rated it 2 stars because the tension was pretty consistent, and Holly Jackson did like keep me intrigued throughout the whole book. I feel like if you enjoy thrillers like this, you would probably enjoy it more than me, but like it's just not my forte. You know, it's just not my favorite type of genre to read. So yeah, that's why I rated it 2 stars. and I'm probably not going to read anything by Holly Jackson ever again. The next book that I read is called The Vanishing Deep, written by Astrid Scholt. I don't know how to pronounce that. I read Four Dead Queens last year, and I wasn't super intrigued about The Vanishing Deep because Four Dead Queens wasn't that good. However, The Vanishing Deep I prefer to Four Dead Queens. The Vanishing Deep is about a girl named Tempe who revives her sister for 24 hours because her sister holds the secret to their parents' death. However, chaos ensues, and apparently there's a secret to this whole process than what Tempe has been previously told. So Tempe lives in this world where you can revive the dead for 24 hours, and it's designed for closure purposes. So there's that. I rated this book 3 stars because the plot and the setting for me were more intriguing than the character development. This is another thriller book where I think that readers of this genre would probably enjoy it more than me, because there was good elements of character development and even a romantic relationship, which I found to be unnecessary. But I can understand why people would rate this book 5 stars or 4 stars, So I rated this book 3 stars, but please note that I'm not an avid reader of thrillers or murder mysteries or anything. So yeah, the next book is another book that I wasn't expecting to love, and it is The Gravity of Us, written by Phil Stample. This is a romantic contemporary debut, and it tells the story of Cal and Leon, who are both they both have online famous profiles, if that makes any sense. Cal is the protagonist, and he has an online profile, so he's somewhat famous, kind of. And when his father is chosen to be a pilot to go to Mars on a NASA mission, his life is uprooted from Brooklyn to Houston, and Houston is where he meets Leon, and Leon's mother is Cal's dad's alternate, or maybe it's the other way around. Anyway, that's the setting. I really liked this book. I really wasn't expecting to. This book is the offspring. The Gravity of Us is the offspring of The Infinite Noise and the Long Distance Playlist, because it was just so cute. Cal and Leon's chemistry was executed so well. I love their characters individually as well as their relationship together. It was just so cute, but also angsty. And like I mentioned before, it had fluff and it had angst, which was perfect. And I loved it. I really loved it, and that's why I rated it 4 stars. And there was a little bit at the end that Phil Stample talked about in his author's note about how it's rare for him as a queer author to write a book, to find a book with queer people on the cover, so he wrote his own. And honestly, that's a mood. I'm not LGBT myself, but it's hard to find people like me on book covers, so I just write my own, because if YA authors won't represent me, then I will. Anyway, The Gravity of Us was a great debut, great standalone novel, really good. Totally deserves all of its hype and more. The next book was one of my most highly anticipated books of 2020, and it is The Kingdom of Back, written by Marie Lu. Marie Lu is one of my favorite authors of all time. I loved the Legend trilogy and Rebel. I DNF'd the Young Elites first book of that trilogy, but that's irrelevant. I loved Batman. I loved, Warcross. Wildcard was a bit of a disappointment. But anyway, Marie Lu is one of my favorite authors. So when I heard that she was writing Kingdom of Back, I was so excited. Kingdom of Back, for those who don't know, is about Mozart's sister, Maria Anna Mozart, who is living in her brother's shadow, because as you all know, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart is a musical prodigy. And Maria Anna is talented too, but not only as a woman, but also as Mozart's sister, it's hard for her to be a composer and for people to really truly recognize her individual talent and not just as Mozart's sister. Because like for most of us, that's how we view her, you know? So she is very desperate for people to recognize her individual talent. So she makes a deal with a mysterious man. And that's how the Kingdom of Back comes into play. So, I have to be straight up. This book disappointed me just because since Marie Lu is one of my favorite authors, I expected the Kingdom of Back to be 5 stars, and it ended up being 4 stars. And it was still really good. Like, the world building was, as per usual, incredible. The character development and the plot was so good. I think I rated this book 4 stars and not 5 stars just because I didn't really like some of the stuff that the villain did. Now, I understand that he's a villain, so obviously I'm not supposed to, like, sympathize with him or whatever. But I found it to be a little bit cartoonish. I don't know how to really explain it without spoiling it, but this book was really quite good. 4 stars is still a really good rating, and it's a solid standalone fantasy. I don't think that they're all sequels. It wouldn't make sense with the ending if there were sequels. Anyway, it's a good standalone fantasy, and I would recommend it. And Marie Lu still remains one of my favorite authors. So, go read the rest of her books. The last book that I most recently read is called The Mystic School of Musicraft, written by Jessica Corley. I think that's how you say her last name. I'm not completely sure. Anyway, I read Last of Her Name last year, which was a good 4-star read. And I think that this is Jessica's middle grade debut, and it was quite good. This book, like, reminded me, like, if Nevermore and the Bookwonders had a baby and then Shadow School adopted it, it would be this book. This book is about a 12-year-old girl named Amelia who wants to be a maestro, just like her deceased late mom. And she wants to attend Musicraft, and Musicraft is a boarding school where people take music and then turn them into magic, which is such an inventive concept that something I've never really read about before, and that is rare to find in juvenile fiction fantasy, or in fantasy in general. I feel like there's so many fantasy books that sound the same, but this book is unique in that way, and I rated it 3.5 stars because I like the element of the setting and like the friendships and the character development, but other than the unique concept at its core, it wasn't that unique. But you know, I would recommend it to anybody who's reading juvenile fantasy, or anybody who's read those books that I referenced before, which are Nevermore, The Bookwonders, and Shadow School. Maybe I'm just a sucker for books that have a magical school setting. So if you have any recommendations that have a magical school setting, let me know in the description below. I mean, in the comment section below. Anyway, so this book was 3.5 stars, like I said. It was quite good. If there are sequels, I'm intrigued to read them. So that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. The best book that I read in this list was Heart of Flames. It was a great sequel. The world building was incredible. The worst book I read was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Yes. So, like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that these like mini spoiler-free book reviews help you when you're looking for books to read. I'll list all the books in the description below as per usual in the order that I mentioned them, in case you want to skip to a certain point where I talk about a certain specific book. Yes, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below which of these books most interested you. Yeah, happy International Women's Day, and I hope that everybody has a wonderful rest of your day, or a wonderful day, or night, or evening, or afternoon, or whatever time of the day it is for you. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more. Bye.